Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Unpopular Opinions with me, Randy Prizzle. How you guys all doing out there? Everything good, shway, crispy, airy? If you're feeling this episode or any of the previous episodes, you know what to do below. All of that. Show your boy some love now. But let's get on to the unpopular opinions of today's show. Come to the first one. Texting and driving deserves the same hate DUI gets. Now, I believe obviously if you're texting and driving, I think it's probably a bit problematic. You know what I mean? You could cause problems if you're obviously not watching the road and you're deciding to drive and be a bit reckless, because it's a bit reckless behaviour when you're texting and driving. Do you know what I mean? I do think it does deserve maybe even some fines, probably leading to some prison times, because obviously if you're caught doing that, you probably do need to watch yourself. Check yourself, watch yourself, check yourself. Show me what you're working with. Well, don't show people what you're working with, because obviously you're driving and you're trying to text. It's a bit of a bad one still. So, you know what I mean? Problematic there. You know what I mean? If it's a quick like okay or something along the lines. But I do think people should try to get the voice one. You know what I mean? When they can just press a button, voice thing, boom, there you go. You say what you need to say and you move on. No problems, no nothing, no fines, all of that. Next one. Paper straws are better than plastic straws. I disagree wholeheartedly. I understand it's great for the environment. It helps the environment and that, using paper straws. But I do think when you try to suck them, they tend to take all the paper off. Do you know what I mean? After a while of sucking, it starts to get very difficult. It feels like you're sucking something else. Do you know what I mean? Pause. Do you know what I mean? But it just feels like you are just trying to suck an entire flipping ocean. And it's just not coming out, or an ice block. You know what I mean? Ice block settings Maori. You can't really get all that ice block to move through the straws, so it's a problem there. I do think that obviously, you know, using these paper straws will be more convenient, but at the same time, they don't have the suction that a plastic one does. Maybe they should just go with something else. Do you know what I mean? Maybe something of a different state, maybe a polystyrene one, something maybe that could actually, I don't know, be a bit more helpful, but it's just not. So there's a bit of a problem there. Still, next one. Living on Mars does not sound very fun. Now, I believe if you're living on Mars, down the line, potentially, let's say future settings, 300, years from now or whatever. Living in the year 3000, or the I'm not the chamber, I live underwater, all of that. But I do think if you're in the year 3000, probably at that period of time, they have made some updates, some upgrades, and that stuff may have been brought to Mars to potentially change how the living of Mars would be like. Do you know what I mean? Planting crops, planting seeds. If you haven't seen The Martian, do go and see that with Matt Damon. It kind of would say generally how this whole process of living on Mars probably would get started. Now, it wouldn't be easy, obviously, because obviously you're going to have to get through some people, and living in a space with some confined people that you probably don't like. Do you know what I mean? Especially when you want your peace and quiet. If the place isn't big enough, let's say like a fallout bunker settings, where it's just a huge place you can roam through and do whatever you want, then you've got some problems. 99 problems, and space is definitely one. You can't go anywhere else. You're stuck on this place with a bunch of people that are getting on your nerves constantly. So it's problems. It's peak. You know what I mean? But I do think that living on Mars, down the line, they would have probably changed everything. So I do think living on Mars could be a bit problematic. But still, I think down the line, infrastructure and everything will change, and will probably make it a lot more appeasing place to live in. So that too. Next one. Being unwilling to use technology is the equivalent of being illiterate. Now, I think using technology doesn't make you, let's say, dumb or, not smart. I think some people will probably be a bit hesitant to use technology. iRobot settings, where obviously technology nowadays, down the line, could obviously make an impact, and probably make a big impact on your life. As I said, iRobot, Terminator, these things have come back to bite human beings in the bumhole. Do you know what I mean? In the backside. So there's problems there. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I think it could be issues there, problems. You know what I mean? But I think if they don't give technology a brain, you know what I mean, AI, then you're fine. You're okay. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. Everything crispy. Everything airy. So yeah, I do think technology, not using technology, doesn't make you illiterate. I think it makes you someone who probably sees something down the line that could be problematic in the future. Do you know what I mean? So you're very aware. You're very aware. Your phone can attack you. Your computer can attack you. One of these things can happen. Just not having a lot of technology in the house does not make you illiterate. It just makes you very cautious. It's just as simple as that. Some people just like the old school ways. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? Let's move on. Next one. Romantic love is the weakest form of love. Now, I think sometimes when you're so into someone, you know what I mean, so into like the fabulous song, I am so into you, you're not really into that person doesn't really reciprocate back, then there's problems. Do you know what I mean? That person doesn't really give you all that love and that attention that you really crave and that you really want. You're putting all your heart and your soul into that person, and that person isn't showing you the same back. The Robin S stuff, but the reverse thing. You got to show me love, and they're not showing you love. At that point in time, it's not just enough for where you probably want. Now, I do think being overly romantic could be problematic. Some partners out there can take the absolute PI out of you and decide to use you as a doormat. Do you know what I mean? Walk all over you. Do you know what I mean? So you have to really kind of combine that type of love and say a small dosage of this and a small dosage of that. If that person's giving you the percentage of love back, then give them all and everything tonight, like the Pitbull song. Do you know what I mean? But you have to be very careful. Getting into this form of love can be very detrimental because it could hurt down the line. It could hurt, it can hit all of that. Do you know what I mean? Lost my words there for a minute, but you know what I'm saying and all of that. And that's it, guys. That's it for this episode of Unpopular Opinions. If you've seen this episode or any of the previous episodes, you know what to do below, all of that. As I said, excuse the background noise. I'm not alone. It's just the things that I'm going through. One of them days, Sundays always peak in this household. You're always going to get noise here. The background music is going to be turned up. Turn it up! So you're going to hear all that. But anyways, let's move on. Appreciate you guys' time. Big yourselves up. You know what I usually do here when I finish? I'll react and I'll give my opinions later on.